Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Kai'Sa updated complete guide. I'm going to be talking about full AD Kai'Sa, of course without the Dust Blade, and just, a pure AD crit kind of Kai'Sa build, the classic kind of Kai'Sa build. Of course, before we get into that, don't forget to check out Kai'Sa's basic guide for her skills, living order, tips and tricks, as well as combos. I'll link that up in the cards above. But without further ado, let's jump straight into the build. So, the first two items really straightforward. Of course, we're gonna go for Gluttonous Greaves into Bloodthirst. They're pretty much the standard 1-2 ADC first items, assuming that you're an ADC that can build them. Of course, you get a lot of Omni Vamp / Physical Vamp, as well as lots of AD here, lots of AD here, as well as the bonus attack speed and AD when you're high on health. So the second item is where things become a bit contentious. So basically, for me, I like to go for Phantom Dancer as my second item. And it's one of the only, or actually it is the only ADC I think I built Phantom Dancer on as a second item. Because over here what we're doing is, of course, Phantom Dancer gives you, a little bit of AD, crit, a lot of attack speed and movement speed. Now, your other option is, of course, to go for Runan's Hurricane second item. So you could, of course, go for Runan's Hurricane second item. It's sort of a trade-off. So with Phantom Dancer, you get more AD and more attack speed as well as movement speed. But with Phantom Dancer, you get less AD, less attack speed. But what you do get is the fact you can split your auto attacks into 3 people. So this allows you to proc your passive on 3 people, at the same time. Whereas with Phantom Dancer, you can only proc it on 1 person at one time most of the time. So basically, you only really want to take Runan's Hurricane second item if you're into a very tanky frontline, because this means that you're unable to really attack, and focus down one target. Anyway, you can just spread your attacks amongst 3 different targets, like 3 different tanks in the frontline. Let's say you have like a Scion in the top lane running at you together with an Alistar bot lane, and some kind of maybe like a fighter in the jungle, and then you can attack 3 of them at the same time when it comes to team fight. So that can be helpful. But otherwise, I normally go for Phantom Dancer as a default. Then we have IE, of course, more damage and increased crit damage. And then, of course, we have Ball Reminder for the Armor Pen, Grievous Wounds. And finally, you add as the last item, you of course have a ton of options. You can, of course, go for Hurricane to, of course, get that spread damage at the end after you reach 100% crit. You can go for all your defensive options, your GA, your Sterex, your Maw, or Wits End, depending on if you prefer attack speed or if you prefer attack damage. And of course your Crown for the anti-burst. Pretty standard ADC last item options here. So for the runes, it's between Conqueror and Lethal Tempo. Now you can go for Conqueror because obviously you have attack speed from Phantom Dance, you have attack speed from your E already, but if you're into, again, a very tanky team, generally it's better to go for Lethal Tempo because it means you can kind of free stack on the tanky front line and get a lot of additional attack speed. But Conqueror is kind of just a default. Of course, being an ADC, brutal. Giant Stare against tanks, or even not just tanks but health builders, because it's pretty much the best rune now. Bloodline, of course, for the Omni Vamp, as well as Bone Plating, of course, for the anti-burst and the defensive capabilities. And then we of course have Flash and we have Exhaust. Now of course you can also go for other options like Ghost or even Heal, but I think Exhaust is generally the best because you can easily just 1v1 people and just exhaust them and win the 1v1s. But with all that out of the way, let's jump into talking about our gameplay. Okay, so now hopping into the gameplay. Now of course, as usual, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below. So of course, Kai'Sa currently has a ton of builds. You have the Dust Blade into AP, Dust Blade into AD. Of course, you have this build, the full AD build. You have the full AP build. A ton of build variations for Kai'Sa, mainly because of Dust Blade, to be honest. But yeah, so this is just the classic auto attack ADC kind of build. And for the whatever supports you would like to pick Kai'Sa with, honestly, it's not too important personally for Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa pretty weak laning phase. Anyways, if you play with an engaged support both in the early and throughout the game, of course you can always go in with your support easily with your ulti and finish people off. Whereas if you're an enchanter, of course Kai'Sa skills very well, really strong hyper carry, can just buff you up, so not too important in this scenario. So here we're against the classic lovers duo of Xayah and Rakan. So of course we got to watch out because if Rakan engages, Xayah can get a free root and we could be in trouble. And of course Xayah is much stronger than Kai'Sa in the early game. Kai'Sa kind of suffers against Xayah in the earlier stages of the game, so we just have to pretty much play conservative, try to get farm, and try not to just take too much damage. Of course, we do want to trade back whenever we can. We don't want to just let ourselves take free damage or not trade at all, which is pretty much what we're doing here. Alright, so we're kind of with the engage, we're able to get in a attack. So here Morgana just goes all the way in with a flash binding. We could have flashed to follow up, but we didn't know where the Vi was, and thankfully we didn't do that because Vi turns out to actually just be right there. So that could have been really iffy. I don't know what to say about that flash. It was really nice conviction by the Morgana, I guess, to go for the flash play. But I didn't really know that think that we had the kill potential, at least not at risk of, you know, being in danger ourselves. So here they're both really low on the tower, so I'm just trying to just chip away at their health bars using my Q, using my autos. Of course, our wave is kind of dissipating, so we can't really dive unless like Morgana tanks the tower or something like that. But they're really greedy for the wave, so they're sticking around waiting for us to push in, which basically means that we're gonna have an opportunity here. So here they're trying to just clear the wave. I hit a W onto Rakan, and basically we're kind of just trapping them into the tower. I get a nice Q onto Rakan to secure the kill, and unfortunately because Nami ran out of health and had to step out of tanking the tower, I ended up tanking tower instead of Morgana, so now I have to flash out of the tower as well. Overall it's not too bad because we did get 2 kills from blowing our sums, and Xayah also doesn't have any sums anymore, so the lane is still relatively good for us, especially because now we're ahead and we have now of course gotten our boots together with a BF sword. So now headed back to lane. Despite the fact we've gotten like a kill and assist here, we're still not exactly the strongest here. Here Rakan goes for the engage. I ult to the side to prevent the pullback from Xayah's feathers, but turns out she was just attacking Nami anyway, so she wasn't really too interested in me personally. Of course now I'm in a 1v2, so I can't exactly do very much. The Ashe just show up, but she whiffs the arrow, which basically means that nothing much is really going to happen here except maybe you know, her dying. But basically despite that, she still manages to scare them off just by her presence, so I guess that she did pretty much keep me a little bit safer here, although nothing too much really happened. In the meanwhile, on the rotation back to mid lane, she gets caught by Orianna and just gets one shot with the Orianna ulti plus ignite and electrocute, which is pretty unfortunate there. And we're just gonna go back to clearing the wave and the tower. By the way guys, there's kind of a weird glitch in the replay system where you can see that all the way on your right, you can see the portraits is like, you know, it's Kayn, Vi, Ori, then the bot lane, which of course is the correct order which I ordered it in, but the scoreboard itself in the middle, you can see that Ori and Xayah have swapped places for some reason, which is really strange. But you know, of course, just don't get confused by that. So here now we've cleared the wave, no point to stick around for too much longer, so we're just going to back and we're just going to, you know, just pick up our Bloodthirster components. So there's always a kind of debate as to whether you should rush Bloodthirster or you should go for boots first. You can see that I went for boots first, whereas Ashe is rushing Bloodthirster, and personally I feel that going for boots first is generally always going to be better, because the reason for this is Bloodthirster is a much bigger spike than boots, but you spike a lot later than boots. So with boots you spike like, I don't know, 3 minutes or so into the game, whereas with Bloodthirster, if you rush it, you're going to need to wait for maybe 5 minutes plus to get Bloodthirster. And the reason why I think this is a problem is if the other enemy ADC decides to go for boots and you're going for Bloodthirster first, you're going to be at a disadvantage because they have the boot spike and you don't. Number 2, if they don't go for the Bloodthirster, and then you have the boots spike and they don't, so either way it's a win situation for me. Here, really hard commit by the enemy team. All the CC is being used, but thankfully I have my ult and they're standing near enough, so I'm able to ult over the wall and eventually I'm able to finish off the Vi. I have no idea how none of us died there, or Ashe does die now, but I have no idea how me and Nami survived that engage with the full combo of Vi into full Rakan CC, and here I'm able to blast plant myself to safety and even manage to survive here. And now the Ori and the Xayah are just kind of just caught between me and my team. Somehow here, Nami picks up the kill, and she's now caught between the Kayn, Xayah, and Orianna, but somehow she's on 1 HP. She somehow just manages to walk out and live, which is absolutely insane. So here Kayn just tries to chase in, Ori tries to chase in as well, but they end up taking a huge bait and they end up just both dying. Now Vi has actually respawned off of the kill that I got on her, and I've actually come off my reset from being 1 HP, and the fight just goes super duper prolonged and extended. Looks like the Vi is going for the Rift Herald, but looks like my team wants to go for Dragon, which is of course the worser of the two options, but looks like we're going for the handshake trade here, so we're just going to go ahead, focus the Dragon, and meanwhile enemy team is supposedly taking the Herald. And yeah, we both secure Dragon and Herald at the same time. And we're just going to head back to lane, quickly clear this out, and maybe see if we can get enough gold to reset for Bloodthirster. So probably don't have enough, so we're gonna have to take a plate or two to get that Bloodthirster gold. So we have 2 plates here. Xayah not really in lane yet, not quite sure where she is. Orianna though is in lane instead, and Nami kind of gets full combo here. Nothing much I can do to help her, but she is able to get a huge wave into bubble and saves her own life here. Heals herself and runs on away. So of course there's 3 people here now, and my support is basically just 1 HP, so we're gonna have to just back off and concede a little bit of tower plates to them too. Thankfully though, tower plates just drop off here. So here we get our Q evolve. So another argument about rushing Bloodthirster versus rushing Boots on Kai'Sa in specific is the fact that when you rush Bloodthirster you will get your Q evolve faster, whereas if you rush Boots you will not. So generally on Kai'Sa, it is actually better to rush Bloodthirster first, despite what I basically said just now about the fact that you're not going to have a spike. So on Kai'Sa in specific, that was in general what I said just now, but Kai'Sa in specific, that's kind of okay because you're really weak in lane anyway, so rushing your Bloodthirster first is actually better. And I say this without doing this in this game, because in this game I just autopiloted and bought my boots first. In every other game of Kai'Sa, I always go for my first item first before boots. So here I kind of just run straight into all of their CC, but because of Nami's CC together with my shield and Nami's heals, we're actually able to kill both of them instead, which is pretty nice. Kai'Sa's pretty much around the same itemization as me at this point. We're able to now just pick up their tower as well, clear the minion wave using our empowered Q, and now we can get another reset and start building towards our Phantom Dancer. Now you can see here that Xayah has decided to opt into going for the anti-heal the Executioner's Calling, but I think that going for this on ADCs as an early item is a waste, because if you really think about it, Executioner's Calling does give you a lot of value by cutting the healing, but at the same time you're not really scaling because you're not building crit items. And of course it does eventually build into Maul Reminder, which is a crit item, but you're not building it now, so you're kind of wasting 800 gold. I wouldn't say wasting, but you're kind of spending 800 gold, and you're not going to be 800 gold behind getting your next crit item, which is not really good. So that's why I don't really like to go for this on ADCs. I really need my support or someone else to get it. Here Rakan goes in for an engage, gets chain CC, I flash out, but unfortunately I try to ult out this time, but I get ignited and I end up dying to Rakan. So here I made a huge mistake by just not flashing or ulting earlier, because I knew Rakan was going in with the engage. It was really predictable because he just ran straight in with his ulti, and it was not unexpected at all. I thought that if I get hit by it I wouldn't die, which technically was not wrong, but I got hit by so much damage that I was at a point that I was 1 HP from dying, which is basically as good as dying in this particular case. So I should have just flashed away from the ulti instead of being greedy with my flash, which I had to use eventually anyway, and I died regardless, so that was just not a very smart decision by me. But of course, hindsight's 20/20, and I didn't feel like they could kill me at that point in time, and I ended up giving over a shutdown, which is of course not very ideal. So we've basically been quietly, farming and getting kills and accruing a shutdown. We actually have the most gold in the game at the current moment, and of course we're doing, in pretty good shape. And here, a really nice Ash Arrow into Nami combo onto the Xayah before she can even ult. We finish off that kill. Now Kayn is going for us. We're going to ult across into our team so that we can try to survive. But unfortunately, Kayn is able to finish off the kill with his dying breath. Of course, Assassin Kayn does so much damage, especially when you're a squishy ADC who has no defenses. Alright, so here the dragon is spawning. Of course, being that we already have a dragon, my team is kind of interested in actually going for the next dragon as well. I am, however, still dead. Ashe has just died as well, so we're gonna have to see if this is actually even contestable. So here Morgana's headed straight to the dragon, but so is the Vi. We thankfully do have the Skull Vision. She pops the Black Shield to prevent Vi from ulting her or anything like that. And here I'm able to make my way up off of my death to come back to the dragon area. Morgana Q goes, I'm not sure where. But here Kayn is on one side while the rest of the enemy team is on the other side trying to focus the Nami. And here we're kind of getting zoned off from the dragon at the moment. So it looks like we're not going to be able to go for the dragon at all. And I honestly felt that Morgana should have done the dragon there instead of resetting, because after she reset, enemy team basically was able to get control of the area, and now the enemy team is engaging on us as well. I have to ult away to just go on the tower and remain safe. Managed to dodge the Ori ulti here, and Vi and Kayn are kind of getting slowed by the Ashe, so they are kind of just running away. Ori is really low, and Vi is also like half health. I managed to actually snipe the Ori with my W, and Kayn is now really dangerous, because he of course has a form already. He has his Youmu's into his mana immune, so really dangerous here because he can pretty much just one-shot me. Here I'm just trying to help out the Warwick. Doesn't really need me though. And here comes Kayn again on the chase. I'm gonna remove his first strike using my W, which is really crucial. If he had a first strike there, I would have just died right here. So I knew he was going to catch up to me because he had movement speed from his E, and I can't really outrun that movement speed unless I flash away. So I decided to instead basically root myself for half a second to cast W, which did not seem like the best idea, but it turns out that it was pretty smart of an idea, because with that I'm able to actually remove his first strike, and with the help of my team behind me who's running to save me, I was of course able to survive the Kayn, and Kayn did end up going down. So here I'm picking up red buff. I'm picking assist for the Morgana to come over and pick up this red buff so that we can get the buff share. And here I'm just going to quickly pick up this wave. Morgana's farming the Krug, so I'm just going to reset because I don't want to steal the Krugs away from her. And we do have enough to get IE, which of course gives us triple evolution as well as of course 3 unempowering spikes. Of course, at this point you should be really strong, and at this point I can easily kill anyone in the enemy team. But the main issue here is, well, basically there's two main issues. The first main issue is Kayn, right? So he's obviously just trying to go for me. Here, me and Kayn are basically having kind of a 1v1 where we're both just walking around, and I think I'm just trying to like stop him from going for my team. But that turns out to nearly have been a mistake, because he nearly just one-shot me with a W ulti. If he got like just an auto or a Q, he would have just one-shot me right there. So that was not a very smart idea by me. My idea was to just get him away from my team, but turns out I did not really want him to attack me either. And the second problem is Rakan slash Vi. So whichever way you want to cut it, if one of them engages on me, the other one gets a free engage, and they have a total of a lot of CC. We have Vi Q, Vi out, Rakan W, so you have a lot of chain CC that could come down if one of them hits their CC. I could basically just be perma CC to death and die to Xayah slash Orianna or even Kayn, in this instance. So anyways, regardless, here it's kind of just a lull in the game, because there's nothing really to do. Of course, neither team can really just do Baron just like that, so both teams are just kind of walking around. It's such a really even game. Both teams got 4 towers, 1 dragon, and both teams are basically at 53-54k goal. Kill score is 22-20, so it's a very even game. Really close one. And here we'll have to see what we can do. So here Vi and Rakan both engage onto the Warwick, which is basically someone who's not me, so I'm trying to DPS in the meanwhile. But unfortunately they die a little bit too quickly. or that he dies a little bit too quickly, and we're now in a sort of a sticky situation. So here the enemy team tries to start a Baron, and this is a very odd situation here because Vi and Rakan are really low. I wanted to ult in on the right, but the problem is that Ashe and Nami are focusing the champs on the left, whereas me and Morgana are trying to go for the champs on the right. So we basically end up doing nothing because we have to commit to a decision as a team, and half of the team is going left, half of the team is going right, and nothing is really going to happen here because if me and Morgana go right, we're stuck in a 2v2 instead of a 4v2, and if Nami and Ashe go left, they're stuck in a 2v2 instead of 4v2 as well. So that's kind of just, it just doesn't really work. So we both have to just commit to one side, and we basically failed to do that. So all of the enemies pretty much just make it out alive, and we should have really killed like 1 or 2 people there at least. So anyways, we were able to back and we actually pick up stasis, and this is a little bit of an earlier stasis compared to what I usually like to go for, which nowadays your brute enchant, you really only go for it after you get like full crit or like later on in the game, because people have basically started realizing that the brute enchant is just it's not a waste of 1,000 gold, but it puts you 1,000 gold behind getting your next crit item, or it basically just hampers your damage. So most people just go for the enchantment later on in the game, myself included. But in this case, we're up against this Kayn that can one-shot us, and this is one of those situations where going for the boot enchant early is really quite logical, because if you don't, you're gonna get one-shot by Kayn anyway, so there's no point how much damage you have if you're dead. So this is one of those situations where it's really useful to get the early stasis. So here we are actually able to pick up a couple kills, but unfortunately we run out of minions to push with, so we're gonna have to wait for the next wave. In the meanwhile, just farming the enemy wolves, both to deny as well as to like just lifesteal back. Getting rid of the Poro on the way out, of course. Kayn is now on the chase. I'm able to speed boost myself away from him. And here my team is doing Baron because 3 of the enemy team members are dead. Only Rakan and Kayn are left alive. And Kayn is of course the top laner, not the jungle. So we are able to secure the Baron, and Elder is actually coming up in 5 seconds. So we quickly getting a reset. I'm getting the 2 important components of the Moral Reminder, the armor pen portion as well as of course the healing reduction portion. So obviously now we're going to run straight to Elder, but Warwick just ints again. I don't know what he's doing. He's gone in 1v3 and he's inting again, and that complicates the situation to say the least, because it means we have one less team member. So he apparently did at least get Vi to use his ultimate, but since he didn't actually ping it, it wasn't very useful for me. So here, I honestly misclicked my ult, but because I had stasis, I'm able to actually stasis and survive, and then pick up the kill onto the Rakan. And basically, in the meanwhile, my team is basically able to finish the rest of it. Xayah, I'm not sure why she's there, but yeah. So here Kayn is just trying his best to really just get something done. Maybe he's trying to steal, maybe he's trying to kill one of us at least. But you can see I basically just lifestealed off of the Elder Dragon, and yeah. So here I'm trying to get a snipe onto Kayn. Unfortunately, I don't get it, and I could have tried to go in on him. But Xayah, not sure why I keep mixing up the two, but Xayah decided to play Split Pusher and is pushing all the way into the inhib, gets hit by Warwick ulti and just dies. But yeah, so she decided to basically just split push. Has to be a little bit rage inducing for her team, who's trying their best to contest Elder, but their ADC is somewhere else. So here we have Baron and Elder, really golden opportunity to push here. Kayn's coming in from the side. Nami ult unfortunately whiffs. So here Kayn's used everything, so this allows me to actually ult in on him and just finish off the kill. That's of course the crucial detail. Of course, assassins without spells, they don't do any damage, so or it kind of depends on the assassin, but Kayn without spells doesn't really do very much damage if he just auto attacks me, so I'm able to just jump in and just basically just one-shot him with one auto and the help of the Elder buff. Orianna is doing a ton of damage here, which is pretty scary. So here I'm just trying to wait for the minions to just lifesteal off of these minions. As you guys can see, together with Nami healing, I'm basically able to get back up to full health. Power of the Bloodthirster, which I love Bloodthirster, this item, ever since they reworked it. Here's the Poro again, and once again it just hides in the bush when I'm trying to kill it. But here we're trying to split push all kind of all lanes. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So we were able to push out most of the lanes, but we don't really get anything too significant. And Baron buff has run out, so we only have Elder buff now. So here Morgana, I'm praying for consistency, and Morgana wants to take the red buff. She doesn't seem very interested, so I'm just gonna go for it myself. She seems to want to stay in the mid lane, so we're just gonna leave her be and just gonna take the red buff for ourselves. We're now actually 11, 2, and 8 now, full 100% crit with our 4 crit items. Obviously, we're in a very, very kind of dominant position here. So now, we're just taking pot shots while trying to stay away from the wall so that Kayn doesn't just, murder us outright. Here Kayn gets the crown of Morgana. He's still in the wall. Of course, he's Shadow Assassin, so his cooldown on his E is like 3-4 seconds. So here we have to be, pretty cautious about the situation. So here Kayn does manage to go in onto Nami, basically one-shots the Nami with the Ignite as well. Unfortunately, the pit blocked my W, so here I have to commit both my ult and my flash, but I think getting rid of Kayn is a very important cooldown, because honestly at this point the main threat on the enemy team to me is the Kayn. I'm not too scared of the rest of their team, even the Rakan and the Vi. I'm not too scared of them because they haven't really been actively going for me. So this shows that they're not really targeting me in particular, and they're not too interested in just going for me. So I'm really more scared of the Kayn, who's the one who's a lot more committed to going for me in particular. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Now here Rakan is going for some kind of split push instead. And here Xayah, I'm trying to focus her down, and I do end up getting the kill onto her. Life stealing off of the minions again to get ourselves back up to a healthy state. Here Warwick is going on Rakan, and here it's only just Vi left. Rakan obviously can't back, so here we're going to be able to finish the Nexus, and we do end up winning the game. So I'll leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.